Hello, friends, and welcome to Somewhat Useful. I'm Will Myers,
And I'm Christy Price.
and on this show, we'll be discussing the topics shaping the world of digital entrepreneurship and tackling questions about Squarespace and web design. We're figuring this world out one website at a time, and hope you find this somewhat useful.
Somewhat useful.
Christy, how are you feeling? You sound a little under the weather.
Well, I don't know how. I know you had a cold last episode. Somehow you were able to virtually infect
Yep,
me, and I now have the cold.
I think
So I,
I've
ha-
passed
I
it to
have my
you.
I have my warm tea here, and I'm ready to go. So
Oh,
nothing
and
I'd rather do
little
on a sick day than hang out.
It is. It's worth it to have a sick day every now and then just to have an excuse to kind of slow down.
Yeah,
That's I feel like that's a bad mindset for me to be in, but that's how I feel.
yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of enjoy the sick days. And your
Well,
cup
you've
is a
oh,
little Podia promotion
it is
there.
a
Did
little
they send you a
Podia
little
cup. They
gift?
said that to me. It was very sweet.
I love that. That looks really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I know you've been super busy with all of the code updates. We talked about this last episode
yeah,
too, but
yeah.
Squarespace has been making a lot of changes. Are you done with that now? Can
Yeah,
you put a pin
I'm
in it? Okay,
I'm done with all of the product V2 updates. So if
great.
you're new to all of this, Squarespace has been updating their products to what they're calling version 2, and it's changed a lot of the underlying HTML and CSS of a lot of these components. So I've had to go back and update a lot of my code snippets and plugins, but those are all good. Plugins I got done relatively quickly. I think before
Mhm.
they even launched, to be honest. And then all the code snippets I finished up last week at the end of last week, so we should
Awesome.
be all good. It was a little bit of a mess, but this part of the world that I inhabit and live in, so that's fine.
I know we talk a lot about Squarespace and this kind of rapid iteration process that they do, where they roll
Mhm.
things out and then it changes, and then it changes a little more, and then it changes some more before it lands on kind of the semi-final
Yeah,
product. And I feel like we have to jump in early on when they're starting to make these changes. But with clients, I'm always like, you know how when Apple rolls out a new phone, you wait for a year
mhm.
and
Yep.
then you buy that phone? I kind of feel like it's the same with Squarespace sometimes. Like if you can just wait a little bit and let it
Yeah.
kind of settle, then you can jump in at a time where you're not having to relearn things every time you log in.
Honestly, I highly recommend that because there's like
Mhm.
a cascading effects whenever
Mhm.
Squarespace changes something because you've added custom code. So Squarespace changes something, and then you got to wait till the custom code that maybe you've added, they have
Yeah.
updated theirs, and then you got to move on to the next. So there's a lot of different, I would suggest the same thing. Just sort of hang tight, don't get too
Mhm.
stressed over it, and just sort of let things flow a little bit. And then once it's been out for a little bit, then you can go back and update some things.
Totally
But
agree.
to be honest, I have a lot of sympathy for Squarespace and these things. Rolling out these changes, they're
Mhm.
constantly pulled between like, are we going to improve the platform for everyone, or are we
Yeah.
going to sort of stay where we are and sort of keep stasis? And it can be hard to do it. Of course, I can quibble about a little bit of communication stuff, but um, at the end of the day, I'm happy they're improving things. So
Yeah.
hopefully, a year from now, we'll be much better off.
Mhm. Agreed.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit as sort of our pre-interview chit chat,
Yeah.
um, some marketing efforts that we both do.
Mhm.
There is I am finding this tension in my business is the tension between going live, doing content that's live, marketing efforts
Mhm.
that's live, what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
or pre-recorded content. And
Mhm.
I think other people are thinking about this as well as you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what is the marketing strategy that works best for you.
Mhm.
I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what are the live versus pre-recorded marketing tidbits that you're doing?
Yeah, so, I do a mixture of both. I know you do as well. And I think there's definitely a place for both in marketing efforts. The thing I like about lives is, I mean, just from a simplicity point of view, you don't have to edit. It's
Mm,
done. When you're done, it's done. You can also really roll with it. So when we do lives and we're getting comments, it's always interesting to see what people are thinking about, and we can react to that. And I think the lives come across so wonderfully in today's day and age where like everything is AI. I feel like
Yep.
the lives are much more unpolished but real, and it feels good today, right? So
Mhm.
it's this true interaction that we're getting. The pre-recorded stuff, I think it's so good, especially for me if I'm doing a walkthrough.
Mhm.
I can edit out some of the bits where I flub it up, or if I'm trying to get to a point and then it's just taking me a little while, I can
Or it's
edit
just
things
loading really
out
slow.
so that
Yeah.
it's a really small, short, digestible video for people. That's a how-to video,
Mhm.
that I don't have to worry about just like rambling on and on. I'm getting to the point, they're getting the information they need. So that's kind of how I'm seeing that balance
Yeah.
in my world. What about you?
Honestly, I'm feeling very much the same thing. I went through a period about a month ago where I was like, okay, maybe 2 months ago, where I was really trying
Mhm,
to push some more live stuff. And I did some of
mhm.
my trainings and my membership. I did some webinars, teaching, going through
Yeah,
some building some components.
I came to a
And
couple of those. It was
you
fun.
did, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you. I appreciate you coming. And they were fine. Like that, I'm realizing like that type of content, it's
Mhm,
good. It's fine to get those interactions, but I feel like the content of it is so dense. It's a
mhm,
lot better. It's a lot better for pre-recorded content. And so I went
mhm,
back and kind of re-recorded the webinar
mhm.
and packaged it up a little bit nicer. But I'm with you. There is something like ineffable about it being live. Like you
Oof,
get
look
that
at
human
you with your big
interaction.
words. Ineffable.
Yeah,
I love
there's
that.
always a big word. There's always a big word every episode. I gotta
I
pull one out.
know. I love
Um,
it. That's gonna be a new theme for us. What's Will's word of the day?
big word for the day. That's I'm gonna be painted into a corner real quick on that. Um, and the live, it's like you said with the AI stuff, it's
Mhm.
nice to be able to see someone. It's nice to be able to honestly like hear them fumble around a little bit
Yeah.
and sort of like
Yeah.
construct their thoughts live. Um,
One of the things that I think is so cool is I think we may have talked about this, I don't know, several months ago, but with Google's AI, the one that makes it sound like a podcast, they
mhm,
actually wrote in disfluencies like the ums and the
yeah.
ahs and the pauses to make it sound more human, which I thought was so cool because otherwise it just sounds like robots talking.
It really is. It's really and it's bizarre how much they're, like, kind of, like, fitting all that stuff in.
Yeah.
I'm finding myself as I'm writing newsletters being okay with leaving typos and stuff in
Yeah.
newsletters just
I
because I'm like, that's not the right way to say it, but I'm gonna leave it in there. It sounds like me."
Yeah. I do the same, and it's funny, I sometimes get the grammar police reply to my emails, and I'm
Do
like,
you?
"Wish I had enough time to go through and make this perfect, but I'm just trying to get info out to you, so I'm very
Yeah.
sorry that I misspelled a word."
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I will promise it's gonna happen
Yeah.
again. I
Someday when
know.
there are many more of me,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah,
cloned me,
exactly.
one of them can be on grammar duty.
Exactly. Well, we have a wonderful guest today, and I want to move us along because I do want to get to
Yeah.
our guest, but we do have some Squarespace updates we need to be telling the people about.
Let's just get through these real quickly and
Let's
then
get
bring
through
on our
these.
guest. I'm really excited for today. Yeah, so new Google Pay payment method on Commerce now is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
We've had Apple Pay for a while. Now we have Google Pay. So
love
yay.
it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's always a good win.
Mhm,
Another one, Squarespace Instant Payments. They have just
mhm.
rolled out instant payments eligible for sellers who are connected to Squarespace payments can get paid in less than 30 minutes. I'm not this. I want to know who this really benefits. I guess it's a cool feature. I guess that's fine.
Mhm.
I'm not, I would love to know the use case of someone who needs to get paid within 30 minutes of something going through.
I
And
mean,
this isn't a knock on it. I truly just
yeah.
am unaware. I've never had a problem with it coming through a day later or something. So would be
I
really
can
curious
see
to
if
hear.
you're early on in your business and like this is your sole source of income. Maybe you've just transitioned to being a designer and you're invoicing through Squarespace. Maybe you're like, I need that money for my rent today. So I can totally see a
Yeah.
use
Okay.
case for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Another one is the site notifications, website site notifications.
I know we have
We've
this
just
cute
got
little
that.
bell icon at the top of our dashboard now. It's
Mhm.
adorable and very excited about site notifications through the menu.
The cute and adorable features, those are the ones
Yeah.
that really get us. Really love it.
Speaking
And
of cute
then
and adorable.
Speaking of cute and adorable, today we'll be chatting with Kelsey Gilbert Kreiling of Week of the Website. But before we bring her on, let's take a quick moment and give a shout out to our sponsor, Square Kicker. Christy, take it away.
Love Square Kicker. Here we go. Want to deliver exceptional Squarespace websites faster? Explore the Square Kicker template store, premium designs built for designers like you. Each template serves as a customizable foundation, reducing design time while maintaining the unique touch your clients expect. Visit squarekicker.com to learn about scaling your business with templates and get 15% off all Square Kicker products with code SOMEWHAT15 today. Created by Squarespace designers from around the world, these templates install with just a few clicks and are fully customizable for each client's unique needs. Each template features stunning Square Kicker animations, which you can customize with a pro extension included in your purchase. With dedicated 5-star support, you'll deliver standout websites while growing your design business. Thanks so much to Square Kicker for sponsoring us this season. It is a great company, and you guys rock.
Great product, great company, just great all around. We love them. Speaking of great all around, today's guest is Kelsey Gilbert Kreiling. Kelsey is the president and CEO of Week of the Website. Week of the Website works with individual entrepreneurs, small businesses, agency partners, and enterprise-level organizations to build marketing and e-commerce sites that exceed expectations. Week of the Website pioneered the process of 1-week website builds in 2014. Just sort of let that sink in. 2014, Kelsey and her team pioneered 1-week website builds. And today she uses that sprint methodology to build impressive sites in as little as 5 days, as well as groundbreaking enterprise products that matter in a matter of weeks. Also, fun story, Kelsey's first book, Squarespace from Sign Up to Launch, makes web design approachable at any stage of understanding and is available at Amazon, bookshop.org, Target, and Barnes & Noble. Kelsey's course, Better Than Launched, Advanced Squarespace Tools, is available exclusively through Superhigh. She lives in Chicago with her son and husband, Kelsey.
Welcome.
I, first of all, have learned so much already on this live. 1, have never heard the word disfluencies before. Made immediate sense, and I'm really excited to add that to my lexicon.
There we go.
2, thank you so much for calling me cute and adorable.
You are.
It's just the truth.
I was thinking back to the first time we met, which was at the first Circle Day. And I remember we were sitting together, and I had heard about you and Week of the Website, of course, and I was so interested in that process that you created. So it was like one of, if not the first website in a week business models. So I would love to hear today kind of how that state of the Week of the Website report, how has it shifted in the last couple of years?
Oh my God, I know. I keep looking up going like, how has it been 11 years? I don't understand. Time has flown. Even since I met you all, it's got to be like, what, 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. It's in so many ways, like I was thinking about this week, like we're always evolving. We're always trying to make little pieces of it better. But honestly, the process is like pretty similar to how it was when we launched. I don't know, some people know this, some people don't, but like when we started out, we were doing large scale event production alongside web design. We were doing both, kind of like married by the fact that we were working primarily with hospitality clients. And really the idea was, hey, we're really good at project management. Like, let's apply this to websites. And to this day, we have usually use a really similar process, though it is, of course, like expanded and grown, and, we use it in different ways. But that mentality of like how we prep clients, how we work with them each day, and then how we get sites launched and live has like largely stayed the same, which is wacky.
Which is amazing. You had like this formula that has just worked, which is so cool.
What were you building websites on back in 2014 when you first started?
So before 2014, because I was building on Squarespace before we started the company for like when I was in-house with a hospitality company. But before I built their first restaurant website on Squarespace, I built them a website for one of their bars on Tumblr.
Whoa.
That's wild.
Because
That is crazy wild.
I know it's wacky, but it's because the same things that drove us to use Squarespace and the same thing that drove us to work with the type of clients we do now is like they had a certain amount of money. They had a fairly like low tech team to be able to maintain and use it. They had a site that was going to have to be updated regularly with like menus and things that were going on. And there was just, there was not really at that point like something that kind of threaded the needle of all three of those things. And then after those first, that first site or two, Squarespace had developed enough beyond just sort of like a portfolio site. And so this is probably like 2011, maybe something around there. A couple years before I started the company. So wild, right?
You are a Squarespace OG.
You really are.
It makes me feel really old, but it's exciting to see it like grow and change so much. It's you remember we still are doing upgrades for clients from 7.0 and you're like, the whole new world out there. Like there's so much more you can do.
Yeah. I know I've been surprised as to how many people are still on 7.0. I was just having this conversation the other day. There's still a lot of websites out there that are on 7.0. And what's shocked me is that people are still wanting to buy plugins for 7.0. So they're still invested enough in improving that website, which was
I
really
think of it like cars. Like some people still drive really old cars and they're like, it's fine. I have tapes. Like I have a tape deck. That's cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's fine.
It works for you. That's great.
Yeah.
Don't want to change. I kind of get it.
And I have to say, like, I still like probably more than most people will pull out the classic editor sections from time to time. Like if I need to wrap text around an image or, if there are things that I don't want to fiddle with mobile stacking on, I'm just like, oh, we're going to go old school here. So I think it really kind of has its place.
Yeah.
That's really smart. And honestly, I wouldn't really think to do that. Like that's more so me like not being in as much of a client facing role anymore where I have to confront those problems. But like it's true. I mean, I think it speaks to kind of the value of the product they've built over the years that you can still do that.
Yeah. I want to pick up on a point you just made. It's just, how your role has shifted and how you kind of balance client work with working on week of the website. I know you just did a website recently, so I know you still have a hand in. So I'd love to hear about that balance for you and what your role is.
I feel like I had a setback. I feel like I went through a sprint of like saying yes to stuff and doing things internally. But yeah, I just did a site that was a pro bono project for us. It was something that I was just like really affected by when I talked to the client. And I was at a time in my life where I just felt like I needed to like put a little good into the universe. And so it was it was like half catharsis for me, half like, a way to like celebrate our agency's birthday. And then like, partially just a nice way for us to help out a really cool organization. It's called Foster Angels, and they provide, wraparound services for foster kids in Central Texas. So Christy, in your area. And, anyway, so it was just like something that I felt passionate about and it was really fun. It's like every time I do it, it's such a good reminder. And it also helps me ground to like what my team is doing and what they're working on and what things are still like a little rocky or like things that you have to pay attention to. And I feel like I always come out of it with like, hey guys, just so you know, like just a reminder that you're going to have to do da, 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 da. And they're like, great, thanks. Like build the website once. So yeah, I still like hop in on projects to kind of build collaboratively with our team or like if there's someone who needs just like a hand. But I'm 7 months pregnant, so I am trying to be very like focused in what things I say yes to, and I'm like, okay, the door for that has closed. Like I can't do that anymore until this kid comes. So
And huge
It's a little-
congratulations.
Yeah, big
Thank you.
congrats. And
Yeah.
Thank
on
you.
that, like you and your husband, Zach, are both entrepreneurs. You
Mhm.
have a kid with another one on the way. How do you manage running a business with children
Stares into the
and one
stares
coming?
blankly into the distance.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely it's a real three-dimensional experience.
Mm,
I think like
yeah.
I was literally in my doctor's office, like waiting for my, I don't know, it was like 26-week checkup or whatever. And
Mhm.
I was like, had my laptop out and I was like working on Zapier connections for something. And I
Mhm.
think it was just one of those like, oh my God, are my priorities good or bad? Like, I don't know if this is good. So I think it's one of those things where we don't really even talk about or think about work-life balance in our house so much as it is
Mhm.
just like integration.
Yeah.
And you know, Zach and I have both been working for ourselves for a long time. And so I think we're really comfortable with that ebb and flow. But like,
Mhm.
for example, this month we're bringing on 2 new business development associates. And I told
Mm,
Zach, I was like, hey, I think Jas needs to go to school like 3 days instead of 2
Yeah.
because I can't not work Fridays for the next month.
Yeah.
And he was just like, okay, great, let's do it. You know, so
Mhm.
it's one of those things where I think we try to be very intentional about how we communicate our needs for work to each other. And like,
Mhm.
if that's going to intersect with family time, just being really clear about like, hey, I need to work right now. And then finding a way that we can like work together on the couch and like turn on a podcast or something like
mm,
that. So
Yeah.
I think that that's like probably the most important thing in figuring out how to maneuver to a double entrepreneur family.
yeah.
It's just like it's very easy to just be like working all the time.
Yeah.
But I think we try really hard, like when we're with our son, to just like
Be with him.
phones down, be with him.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then when we're working, focusing on work. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am at a co-working space today because my in-laws are taking care of my son today at my house.
Mm,
And I was like, I know that I'm not going to be able to stop myself from going upstairs to be like, are you guys okay? Do you need anything?
yeah.
And like, I have stuff to do.
Yeah, totally. No, that makes a lot of sense. Do y'all have any like for maternity leave? I know this is something a lot of people have thought about. Are you planning on these are the buckets I'm going to be out and communicated that to your team, or like how are you navigating sort of that
Yeah.
transition?
So I'll say 2 things. The first thing is that if you are an entrepreneur, you should look into short-term disability insurance because it will often cover
Mm,
some portion of your income if you're paying into it for maternity leave. Now,
Amazing.
please ask
That's a
me.
great
Please
tip.
ask me if.
yeah,
Please ask me if
great.
I have that.
Do you have that?
No, no.
Okay.
It's a long, funny story, but basically, like you got to time this stuff right. Uh, no, but it is something that I tell a lot of people is like
Mhm.
put it in place, do it. It's also good if you ever get like an injury or something
Mm,
that takes you out of your work. It's usually pretty like relatively low cost. This just sort of it doesn't, it's not worth getting into.
no, that
So my plan this time around, because last time I really didn't get to take time off. I was
Mhm.
back 3 weeks after I had my son on
Wow.
sales calls.
Wow.
Like
wow.
I saw this video on my phone where I was like pushing him in the little like stroller bassinet while I was on a
Yeah.
call. And I was like, oh God, that was a journey. So this time
Mhm.
around we have a really good plan that we're like putting in place with the team. So I'll be out for a month, and then
Mm,
Mhm.
for another month I'll come back for our like weekly status meetings on Tuesdays.
Mhm.
So we do like sales, leadership and operations meetings. And so for a month I'll come back just for those to like answer questions, get people unstuck. And then third month I'll be back half time. And then come January, I'll be back full time. So this time around, I think we have like everyone is much more prepared because I'm not doing as
Yeah.
much of the like we have a more our team is more distributed. It's not just like I'm
Mhm.
doing 90%, you know, like whatever percentage of the work, and
Yeah.
then it has to get handed off to someone else. So
yeah.
we've been trying really actively to like prepare the team. Everyone knows what's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
Mentally, they know like Kelsey's going to be out. She's not going to be able to help, like step in to help fix this one thing.
Right.
But I think that's healthy. Like,
Yeah.
ideally, when you build a business, you don't want it to hinge on any one person.
Right.
And so I feel like I have my own personal anxiety around it just because it's like I'm stepping away to do another really intense job. But I think the team's really ready for it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. I know that like these are questions that a lot of people have, and then they just become super urgent. They just don't know where to get information. That's like, sounds like you've got a really good plan, and thank you for walking us through that.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally was Googling yesterday, like how to be an entrepreneur in your third trimester. So, I like came across some blog posts and I was just like, I don't know what I'm looking for here. Like, I don't know what answer I'm seeking.
What is the
But
answer?
it was just one of those moments where I was like, I'm so tired. And it was just like, how to do this. I was like, it's hard.
Yeah.
What do you want from us?
Yeah. Do you think it's easier to take time off running an agency than if you were a freelancer? I'm just kind of thinking about the, what are the pros and cons of agencies versus freelancing in general? And with how would that look different?
That's a great question. I mean, I think in some ways, yes, because yes, it is easier as an agency because you don't have to plan for a full stop, right? Like we were in a really different place 4 years ago when I had Jasper because I was still building websites. I was halfway through a client website when I had him. So
Wow.
he came early. That was not bad timing. That was not bad planning on my part. He was a month early. So I was doing what I was supposed to do.
The way it happens. That's
It
fine.
does.
Yeah.
Which actually is the thing that keeps me up at night is the fact that I don't know like when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much planning as you think you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. But like it kind of threw us into a tailspin because we were just like, we were not ready for me to step away from building websites at that time. And yet it also had to happen. And so I think when I think about planning an extended amount of time off as a solo entrepreneur, money wise, like you really have to be super diligent about like either putting money away or, prepping projects for it. I think, this is where it is such a benefit because like I'm not doing it alone and I do have like an incredible operations manager who's more than capable of keeping things going, right? Like we've got someone who's got an eye on the money. We've got someone who's got an eye on like making sure everyone on the team is getting what they need and they're happy and healthy and all that. So I think in some ways it is as an agency. I will say the flip side of it is, and the thing I think I'm kind of grappling with right now emotionally is just like, there's a group of people that collaborate with me that rely on our business to continue being like healthy and booking projects and moving forward. And there's a natural like anxiety around, I don't want to let these people down. And also I have to go like bring a new person into the world and like focus on making sure they have a good start. So I think there's a little bit of like pressure and tension around, am I setting everyone else up here for success? Have I taken care of everything I need to take care of? And then can I trust everyone to just sort of run with it and know that like, I'm not ditching them.
Yeah.
I'm not abandoning them. I guess
you've got this really important side project. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've got this other side hustle I need to work on for a couple days. So.
Well, I mean, I have some other questions, but I want to just make sure we sort of hit this discussion or put a pin in this discussion because I feel like this is questions a lot of people have. Is there any other advice or thoughts or anything you would want to give to someone who's sort of going through a similar thing or wanting to plan for a similar thing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No. It's okay. I'm just taking a second to like think because there's so much, and I'm also in it. Like I'm so in it right now. I think it goes by really fast. And I think, especially because, for your first trimester, you're not really talking about it. You're not really sharing that, which I think is a weird burden in and of itself.
Yeah.
Second trimester, you feel super driven to get like a ton of stuff done. What I have found is that perhaps me a month ago maybe overcommitted a little bit on terms of things that I thought I could do before I could go out. And so I think really understanding like it's going to suck at the beginning. You're going to have a really good mountain of like feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling like you have good energy in the center. And then like you're going to slow down. I kind of forgot about the slowdown part. And so I'm hitting that now where it's just like, oh, I need to take a nap. Like I have to take a nap. And I think just understanding that like that is a part of this process, that rest is very, very important, and that you're going to have to just be open to communicating with your team. Like I had a huddle with Katie this morning and I was just like, I'm having a rough week. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I have hit a decel like so fast that is surprising me. So I need a couple days to recalibrate, but you know, here are the things we prioritize. And so being comfortable saying, you know what, this can happen when I come back. This can happen later. Like this doesn't have to happen now. Is I think probably the thing I'm working through the most right now. So I don't know if I have like really good insight to share at this point, but I will say that it comes faster than you'd expect it to. I think actually having the second one is like kind of hard. Being pregnant with the second one is harder because I'm also trying to like chase a 3.5-year-old around.
Right.
And like find all the stuff that we had from our first time around versus like, I need a thing. Okay, I buy it and I put it in the chest of drawers. Now it's like I've sent out like 6 loads of laundry of like baby clothes in varying sizes. But yeah, I think just know like it's gonna suck. You're gonna have a real productive window, and then things are gonna get quieter and slower, and like that's the offboarding period. I talked to my dad yesterday actually about it, and he was like, I think you should just like put your map plan like in progress or in process in August and just focus on sales for the rest of the time that you have. And I was like, I don't know. Like, can I do that? So having kind of that slow down in and then like accelerate out is an interesting idea.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's like we're all rooting for you and every other mother and family that's going through a similar thing. I know it's a lot of work and very stressful. But from the outside, at least, it looks like you're handling it super well.
Well, thanks for asking about it, because I do think that that's one of those things that, especially as the Squarespace like community matures and changes, you know, when we all started out in our 20s, like this is different, you know, the challenges you're experiencing are different. And obviously, Chrissy, like you're in a completely different phase of parenting than I am, but
it never ends, just so you know.
It never ends. Never ends. But I also think like it's one of those things that we just don't get to talk as much about. Like if you are if you are in a community of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of like momtrepreneur. It's just it can skew to like the frilly and fluffy. But I think there are some like real business decisions that have to come out of it. And I'm lucky that this is my second time around while I've been an entrepreneur. So I know all the stuff that I wish I had done differently the last time. But I'm always open to having those conversations, because I think the more that we talk about it, the more we understand that like this is a piece of life. Entrepreneurship is like, it brings your life as close to your work as it possibly can be. You don't have that corporate separation. And so the decisions that you have to make in terms of how you run your business, but also how you want to like live your life, I think tend to be a little bit more integrated. And I know I'm not the only person. Like there's someone else I know that we just had a baby. There's other people who are in the community who are expecting. So
totally.
I think that is such a good point. Just, I mean, because our life and work is so intertwined, as our life kind of things in our life may ebb and flow and change. And unlike just showing up 9 to 5, it's really affecting how we work, when we work, how much we work. And I really appreciate you sharing kind of those practical aspects of how you're tackling that as you go through life changes.
It's a wild world.
Separation. That's good. That's a good line. That's a really
good we don't really have that, right? Like
no, we really don't.
There's this sense of like, hey, like you get me from 9 to 5 and the rest of my life gets me outside of that. This like you get me from, 6 to 7:30 while I'm half like laying on my pillow answering emails. And then you get me from, 9 to 4 or 3 if I'm taking a nap that day. And, then you get me from like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it's just a different
it's a different
balance.
mindset.
Yeah.
And even if you want to not think about it, you don't really get that choice. Your brain kind of has a way of sort of
it does not. No, you really don't. There's no putting it down. So I think it's just figuring out how to like fold it in and make it feel like it fits comfortably alongside the life that you want to live without putting too much pressure on yourself to be multiple people in one, because you ultimately, as the time turner does not literally exist, we are stuck with the same amount of hours in the day as Beyonce.
Unfortunately, one of these days. I'm just holding out until the time turner comes back.
Time turners and teleporters are the two that I'm rooting for.
We'll get it. We'll get it. Just hold tight. Come on, AI, do your thing. Well, you have created in your career an incredible agency. Like, what are the parts of building an agency? And this is just the discussion, or the decision rather, between going agency, staying freelance is a big one that I think a lot of Squarespacers have. What are some of the things, the unknown unknowns about going the agency route? What should people consider when they're trying to make this decision for themselves or their lives?
Oh gosh, we have like 5-6 hours scheduled for this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christy, years and years ago, you asked me about this. Like, how do you decide? And well, I think first a good point would be to intentionally decide. I feel like we kind of tripped and fell into what became more of like a formalized agency. Also, Will, I cannot get over your cup of coffee color changing as you drink your beverage. Like, it's awesome. It's amazing. I just want you to know I see you and I appreciate
it. Thank you. It's actually, it's one of those mugs that when it's hot, it changes to something else. And it is a picture of my mother-in-law on it. And I'm at my mother-in-law's house right now. And it's just a bit we have going on. So it's really funny.
That's perfect. I love that for you. So I would say the first is to be as intentional about it as you can. Now, granted, I think are in a really interesting time for like the Squarespace design industry as a whole, because there's not that many agencies, right? There are people who have like folks who are working with them and, maybe 1 or 2 people who are their collaborators. But I think once you shift to that agency model, it brings so much cool flexibility and collaboration. Like that is by far the best part of my job, is getting to see like the vision come through the eyes of the teams that we put together to build these websites. Because for now, I'm still doing a lot of the sales. So I'm talking to the client, and then I'm translating the things that we've talked about to our team as we onboard them to the project. But then from there, like, it's not mine, it's not the client's, it's this entirely new thing. And so I think if you're someone who really is excited about leadership and is very interested in collaborating with other creatives, that's like the most amazing part of this. The flip side of that is like, it's sometimes hard for people. Like, there is a coaching aspect. There is a piece where you go like, hey, I know that sometimes this is tough and you're getting feedback that doesn't feel good, but like, you are still incredibly good at what you do, and you should trust that. B, as we've been known to say in the past, like, feedback is a gift. This is something that, we're really trying to keep a collaborative mindset. And so I would say the people piece of it is incredibly rewarding. And with that, when you're a solo entrepreneur, as we talked a little bit about, you answer to yourself. You make the rules for, when you work, how you work, what you want to work on. And it's, you have a lot of autonomy. Once you move into the space of, having multiple collaborators, being an agency, you really move to a place of we, and having to not just think about your choices and for your business, but like how they impact everyone else that you work with. Financially, you have to make a lot more money because the money is going in multiple directions. And so I think that that's something that is just like, you have to be really intentional, mindful, and clear around like your margins and if you're actually making money on doing things, and make sure that you're providing like value to the people that you collaborate with. You know, part of
Yeah.
the promise that we give to people when they come work at the Week of the Website team is like, we're taking care of a lot of the really hard parts of this so that you
Yeah.
can just build, right? Or you can just
Mhm.
project manage. But you know, as an agency, like you have a lot of responsibility then to be like going out, marketing,
Yeah.
getting leads, bringing in business,
Mhm.
closing that business.
Mhm.
And then if anything goes wrong with that project, you're the one who like steps in to smooth it out because they're
Yeah.
there to build, right? Build
Mhm.
and project manage. So kind of my like top down view of some of the
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
to think about.
How many of your team are local Chicago versus remote?
3 of us are in Chicago.
Okay.
Pretty much everybody's remote.
Okay.
Katie, my operations manager, is in Chicago. She's in the suburbs.
Mhm.
Well, not really the suburbs. It's an extension of the city. And then we have a project manager who's local here too. But then
Mhm.
otherwise everybody's spread out. So we're on Slack all
Yeah.
day, every day, talking to each
Yeah,
other.
I was wondering about that. Are there challenges to, I mean, you've talked so much. I love how you talk about the agency. It really feels like there's such a high level of collaboration and care for one another. Is that challenging with a remote team, or is it like, no, we've got, video conferencings, we've got Slack. We don't need to be face to face.
I think I forget how little we do like as a group because I feel
Uh-huh.
like I'm talking to like this person, this team, that
Uh-huh.
team. Like I see every Slack channel that's
Mhm.
created for every project that we work on. So like
Yeah.
I get to see it all.
Mhm.
And I think that's awesome because it makes it feel super connected for me. We
Mhm.
do a quarterly like town hall where everybody gets together. We talk about like what's been going on, like what we've launched, what we've been working on, what projects we have coming up. And then we split off and do like a dev meetup and a PM meetup so that folks can kind of like workshop different issues or give us feedback or get questions answered or just like build community. And
Mhm.
so we try really hard to create that space. It's very fun for me to see like the dev channel of people being like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
working on this, or oh, Will just posted this. Like, should we all go to this, webinar or whatever? And I think people have built some really special friendships out of their like
Mhm.
co-collaborator status at Week of the Website. So that
Mhm.
makes me, I mean, I'm just like, I like people. So I'm like very happy
Yeah.
anytime we can create an environment for people to make friends. I think sometimes I forget that people like don't know each other. I'll be
Mhm.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
like you guys know each other, right? They're like, no, why would we have ever worked together? Like I do, like I work on like this other side of things. But we really try hard to like make at least those quarterly touch points like a
Yeah.
good communicative open time for everybody.
Yeah.
I love that.
How big is your team?
We were just doing this. We just did the math on this yesterday. We have 6 developers, 5 project managers, and then we've got some folks who are like on the leadership side. So I have an assistant. We have an agency assistant who doubles as one of our project managers. Katie, our operations manager, and then we have a fractional like CFO and a
Mhm.
fractional chief of staff who helps with people ops. She's actually out on mat leave right now with her new baby.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's a big team. That's a really big team. That's like you've done something really incredible in the Squarespace
Mhm.
world that I
Thank
think a
you.
lot of people look up to. So thank you for sharing just sort of
Mhm.
the inner workings
Yeah.
of it because you've done some awesome stuff.
It's not for the faint of heart, but you make it look
Not.
easy.
Yeah, you really do.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you. I feel like sometimes we don't, but I like to think of it as a really cool learning and growing place for people. Like
Mhm.
my optimal outcome is that like people come and they spend some time working with Week of the Website and they do really
Mhm.
incredible client work. They grow their skills and then like I want to be a step in in their career. In
Right.
Chicago, we have some very cool, this is like a little bit of a stretch, but just stick with me. We have like an amazing culinary scene in Chicago. We have incredible restaurants, bars, food, etc. And it's very fun because if you can kind of trace back like the tree, like the family tree of like where these people come from and the things that they've done as they win, James Beard Awards and Jean Monnet Awards. You can go back and be like, okay, they started out working at this restaurant group, which has then spun off this person, this person, this person, this person. And so like, to me, that is, I think, what I hope to someday kind of be seen as is like, oh yeah, they cut their teeth and we do the website and then they went on to do X, Y, and Z. I think that's like the leadership dream for me, is just to give people a really like a supportive environment to learn and try new things and get really comfortable talking to clients and taking feedback and then use that for the next stage of their own careers. I think that's
You're
like the purpose.
Heck of a leader, Kelsey.
Trying like hell, Will.
You're doing well. Claps from over here.
Yes.
Okay, so I got a two-parter for you. First, how is Chicago in the summer? And second, where can people get the best baked goods in Chicago?
You are asking the right person, because I have. Oh man,
we had Hoyt on a few weeks ago, Hoyt from Squarespace, and we talked a lot about croissants. So this is like top of mind for us.
You guys chatted about marketing. I mean, I'll tell you that Chicago's amazing in the summertime. It can be a little muggy, a little hot, but we wait all year for that. It's beautiful. There's so much to do. People love to be outside. Like, it's just a really, I think people just like get super hyped when it's summer here. So it's fun. The energy is great. You talked about marketing at the beginning of this. I have kind of like a LinkedIn post maybe I'm working on, but it ended a little differently than I expected. So I don't know what to do with it now. But yesterday morning, I was doing my like horizontal scroll, email, catch up, respond, terrible sleep hygiene. But listen, you take what you
we
get.
all do it. We all do it.
You have to do.
Yep. So if you get an email from me between like 5:30 or 6 in the morning and 7:15, you can just know it came from my head on the pillow. But I got an email from a local bakery that was like, it's the last week for cherries, and then we're moving on to apricots, and they had this cherry galette that looked just amazing. And I went and like dropped my son off at daycare, and I was like, God, I really want like a cherry pastry of some kind. So I drove to this I was like, I'm not going to go all the way to the bakery that I saw in the newsletter from. That would be silly. So I went to this other bakery, and I show up and they're like, our pastry program's on pause. And I was like, first of all, how? But like, okay, fine, whatever. And at that point I was like, I'm 6 minutes from home, or I'm 8 minutes from this bakery. I can just sit and take this call while I have this pastry that I've just read about. So in essence, this newsletter really, really worked on me. And I think if you target pregnant women with very narrow culinary preferences in your newsletter and you're selling food, you probably have a winning combination. But I got there and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this based on a newsletter that I read this morning while I was catching up on emails.
But here I am. I have to. There's no going back now. Right.
I can't stop myself. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have to ask, was it worth it?
Yeah.
It was good, but I got there and they didn't have Wi-Fi, and I had to like start my like Tuesday status call sprint, and I was like, tried really hard not to be attitudey, but I was just like, can I bother you for your Wi-Fi? And she's like, we don't actually have Wi-Fi. And in my head, I'm like looking at their toast prompter, like, bullshit, you do have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You're not going to give it to me. And that's right fine. There. You have the right to do that, but it doesn't mean I have the right to like it.
Yeah. No, you know what? They didn't, they marketed to pregnant women. They should have known, like, I need to have all my ducks in a row here if I'm going to be.
I need my ducks rowed up. Yeah. Like I need them in a line.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, it was good, but I was cranky. And so I was going to write a like post about like how to convert with your newsletters. Like this is a really good option. My favorite place to get a pastry in Chicago, in my neighborhood, right now, my favorite is this place called Mindy's Bakery. Mindy Siegel owned a restaurant in Chicago called Hot Chocolate for a very long time. I would say she's like definitely a big branch of the tree culinarily. She has these donuts that are just crazy good, like so delicious. And then my other favorite thing right now is this newish coffee shop in Wicker Park on Division called Oud, O-U-D. And it is this great cafe started by a group of friends who were like first generation Palestinian immigrants and wanted to have like a place that was more like a Middle Eastern coffee shop, which kind of is more like a bar. But they have the most incredible pastries. Like they've got savory, they've got sweet, they've got like the Dubai chocolate, they've got, you know, all that stuff. So those are my two, Oud on Division and Minnie's Bakery in Wicker Park.
Once you have
I'm taking notes.
I feel like you're probably a little cramped for time right now, but once you have a little more, we're going to come visit Chicago and we'll check them all out.
Yeah.
If you want to come in October, I have plenty of tasks that you can help with. You want some bottles?
Here we go. We'll do a little trade, a little plug-in trade. I love it.
I would love to have you guys in Chicago. Chicago fall is also really, really nice.
I'd like it. That'd be really nice. All right, so we're gonna go on a quick ad read, and then we got some lightning round questions for you.
Okay, great.
All right. So let's thank our sponsor yet again, Square Kicker. What if you could have unlimited creativity on Squarespace? The Square Kicker Pro extension gives you powerful design control with an intuitive visual UI right inside your Squarespace editor. Created by designers for designers, over 100 no-code tools empower you to customize Squarespace far beyond its native capabilities. Visit squarekicker.com for a free trial, no credit card required. Use coupon code SOMEWHAT15 to get 15% off all Square Kicker products today. Supercharge your creativity with dramatic scroll effects, custom hover states, unique section layouts, and so much more. With dedicated 5-star support, you'll never face a design challenge alone. The Square Kicker team can't wait to see what you create. Thank you, Square Kicker.
Thank you, guys. All right, Kelsey, lightning round questions. We've got 3. The first is, do you have any pets and do they come to work with you?
No, I do not have any pets right now. I formerly had a Chihuahua who made it to 19 and a half years old, but
oh my goodness.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Well, I mean, I think you have your hands full right now with a kid and one on the way. So yeah.
I mean, I sort of do. I have my own Pokemon that just goes with me everywhere, but
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What are the top 3 tools in your tech stack?
Slack is everything. We use Slack for everything. We use a client relationship management tool called Pipedrive that tracks all of our like projects, which we spend a lot of time in. And then we use this system of managing the business called EOS and Entrepreneur's Operating System. And as a extension of that, there's a tool called 90 that helps us track like what are we working on, what are our key performance indicators, and that's the other piece that I use quite a bit is 90.io.
90 an EOS Entrepreneur Operating System.
If you've ever heard of Traction, is the book about it, but it's just a system of organizing your days so that you get things done.
Love it.
I love that. I love everybody's top 3 are wildly different. It's always interesting to hear. I love these. And then the last question, Kelsey, what's the best advice you've ever received?
This is going to skew very businessy, but yesterday, I've heard this many times from him before, but yesterday my dad said, nothing happens until somebody sells something. and I love it. I think it's a good reminder that like, that's the thing that begins it all.
Highly accurate.
I love that's like very in line with some of the best business advice. I have a business mentor, and that's something he says is like, if you're ever stuck, make a sale. Like that's the next thing you do is make a sale. Or try, right. Like that is the thing that is a business. That's what starts it all. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Your dad's a smart man. Is your dad an entrepreneur?
He had a business for 28 years, and he retired a couple years ago, and now he's just my on-demand consultant.
So,
I love it.
I love it. I love it. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell the people where they can find you and your courses.
Yes. Well, you can find me in Chicago in a small call booth in the West Loop right now. Please don't stalk me. And otherwise, weekofthewebsite.com is the host's home for all things Week of the Website. And then my site is kelseygk.com. So you can find us there.
Love
Amazing. Kelsey, thanks so much for joining us. That's it for today's episode. Blah, I can't talk anymore. Thank you all so much for joining us and listening. We hope you found this at least somewhat useful.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. And if you really like us, leave us a nice 5-star review, as this helps us grow the pod. Thanks again to our sponsor, Square Kicker, and thanks to our audio engineer, Ricky Gutton. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks for having me.